This video is going to show you how to install and configure the scanner function on the Kyocera 420i. First thing we're going to do is go to our website, www.abcbusinessconcepts.com, and we're going to go down here to the Cornerstone tab, and it's going to ask you for a password, and that password is simply Larry. Click OK, and up here in the upper left hand corner we're going to download the scanner file utility, and generally I'll just save this to the desktop, and I'll go ahead and launch this or unzip it, and we're going to double click on the setup file. We'll click run, and it's going to ask you for a series of questions here, and basically we're just going to set the defaults. Just go right on by them, and this is going to unpack and install the utility. And when we're done, we can basically close everything out. We're going to minimize the browser for just a minute, and we're going to hit start all programs, and you'll see the new tab, scanner user software, and we're going to come down here and we're going to start the scanner file utility. And as you notice, it'll pop up right beside the clock here, and it'll have a red slash through it, which means that the utility is disabled. The second thing we want to do is just click on my computer, and we want to go to the C drive. You may have more than one drive like I do, but you want to go to the C drive, and we want to go to the root of the C drive, and basically right click in a blank space, go down to new, and we'll create a new folder. And in this new folder we're just going to name it scans. You can name it whatever you want, doesn't matter. And what I like to do for my end users is right click and put a shortcut on the desktop. Now we'll close this out, and as you see, here's the shortcut. So when they go click on it, it will take them right to the folder where all the scans will be deposited. And like I say, you can rename this to whatever you want. Now let's go back down here to the utility, and we're going to right click on it, go to configuration, and you will see this setup tab. We're going to click on that, and we're going to set up this computer in this folder. Now since this is the first time we've done this, we're going to click on new, and if this is the very first folder we're setting up on this device, we're going to number it 001. If it was the second one, you'd name it 002, 003, and so on. Now on this button here, click on it, and it'll take you right to the C drive, and we want to scroll down and find that scan folder that we just set up, and we'll just single click on it. We'll hit OK, and you can see the C:/scans. It puts the path in automatically for you. We have folder number 001, and we hit OK, and it basically places it in this summary box right here. Now on this screen, what I like to do in general is click on this reception notice for the end user, and what that does, it creates a pop-up every time they go and scan back to their PC. It's just a little notification that they received it, and like I say, it doesn't matter, you can turn on or off, whatever your preference is. And we just hit OK, and we'll come up here and hit OK on this screen, and now we're ready to start the utility. So we're going to right click on this file utility and click start, and notice it turns yellow. Now one thing I want to point out is that if you go back in here and you try to configure this utility down the road, you cannot configure this utility while it's running in service mode. You see the setup key is blanked out. You can't select it. You have to physically go in and stop the utility first, and right click on it again, go to configuration, and you'll see the setup tab is now available. But we're all done, so we're going to start the utility. It's now running. And basically this concludes the setup for the computer, or on the computer end. Now what we're going to do is go into the web browser. We're going to web into the command center by basically just typing in the IP address of the machine, and when it comes up, it'll come up on the start page. We'll need to click on basic, and we'll need to come down to the address book and click on contacts. And since it's the first contact we'll be adding, you don't see any that's already populated, so we'll click on add contact. There's the number 1, and we're going to type in a name. I'm just going to use my name. You can put whatever you want in this box. It's whatever you type in here is what is going to show up in front of the end user when they go to the control panel of the device. Now, as far as host name, I like to right click on my computer, go to properties, and on computer name I will just highlight and copy and paste that right into the field. We'll come down here to FTP, put in the host name, and the reason I like to copy and paste it, sometimes it's hard to tell, an I from a 1. You have letters and numbers in the mix, and the only thing you need to copy is the host name. We do not need to copy the full computer name, full domain name. And here, as far as path, we're going to put in 001 for the path name, or path number there is. So we've got path number 1. We're up here on contact number 1, and we're going to come down, scroll down here, and hit submit. And if we want to go back in here, check our work, we notice Larry, of course, host name, the path. There really is no password here. This just shows up by default. We never enter a username or password. You don't even have to fool with that. So one other thing I want to address to you, and for this host name to work, we're going to have to go to the Advanced tab, and under TCP/IP, be sure that you have at least one DNS server, preferably the one that you're running internally, and if not, it'll be your ISP. But you have to have at least one DNS server in here for it to resolve your host name or your computer name. But that pretty much concludes. One thing you may or may not be aware of, if you do have a firewall on, you'll need to add an exception for that. That's going to be under the control panel, and under Windows Firewall I've got this one turned off, so we'll just turn it back on and momentarily. And what you see here is you will need to add an exception, and I usually add the program itself. And you will be able to scroll down once you install the utility, and you select OK, and as you see, scanner file utility is selected. And even if they don't have the firewall turned on, like I don't normally use it, or you got a domain policy to force it off, I will usually, for a good measure, go in and configure this anyway, in case it ever gets turned on by mistake, or they've changed their group policy to turn it on. The exception will always be there, and it won't be something that will come up down the road and you'll have to go back and troubleshoot. But anyway, that concludes this tutorial, and hope it'll help you out.